Okay,
Your budget's not gonna shoot it, and it's aisle.
we're gonna call
say
the
the same.
meeting to order at 7:01. Is that
7:01.
okay, Chair? Roll
Wow.
call, Chair Blanco,
Here, present.
Vice Chair Martinez,
Here.
Secretary Colon, Member Orr, Member Rubio here. At this time, Eladio, Danielle, and Francesca are not here, but Francesca's running late. The order of business, I'd like to make some deletions if I may.
Sure.
On the March 24th, 2020 meetings were approved April 28th, so I'd like to delete the item.
Right.
The Miami Lakes podcast was discussed April 28th. I'd like to delete it. The lobbying efforts were discussed April 28th. I'd like to delete it. And the Town of Miami Lakes Council update, it was discussed as 28th. I'd like to delete it. The House Bill 303, Senate Bill 486, it was discussed April 28th. I'd like to delete it. And then this is the aisle, hallway files. I'd like to clarify that, next BA on open discussion, the next BAB meeting is June 23rd.
Oh, sure.
Let me double check.
Right, double check, because
We're just making all the corrections.
I think that it changed from the
Additions,
fourth
deletions,
after June.
additions.
No, you
No.
guys have stayed on the same.
Right, we have, we have, but I think
The
in
fourth
June or July,
Monday
we're
of
gonna
every
change.
month, the fourth Monday of every
The
month.
fourth Monday of every.
Right.
We only change it if there's like a federal holiday.
Okay.
Right, so June 23rd is the fourth Monday in June, and July 28th is the fourth Monday in July. As you know, we always like to write out date.
7.
Okay, so is that okay?
Yes, that's correct.
Those are the deletions and changes I'd like to make. Is there a motion? I make a motion to add, delete, and change. Is there a second? Second.
Second, right?
Roll call. All in
Okay.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Beyond.
Aye.
Are there any public comments at this time?
This whole packet is,
Hello?
yeah, it's probably a little, it's more than what you need, but maybe so you can keep it. It won't get changed again. That's basically like the final version.
Okay, so there's no public comments. I move to adoption of minutes,
Oh.
April.
Well, just for the record, Councilmember
I think
Hertzberg.
Harrisburg.
Oh, I don't.
Hey, Steven.
Hi, Councilmember Hosberg.
Hey,
I'm looking behind
hey.
my.
No worries. Hi, guys. No, I really don't have much to say right now. This is the easiest way for me to log into the meetings. But two general things. One, I believe the town will be setting up soon, hopefully, a workshop on Robert rules for committee members. I hope everyone can try to attend. I think it's really important that these committees run efficiently, effectively, and with the rules help make that happen. And then second, obviously, we have the new committee rules in place now. I think they're good. It's going to allow committees to also operate under better structure. If anyone has any questions about those committee rules, reach out to me, reach out to other council members. We're all pretty in sync on what the rules say. And the same thing with Robert rules. Obviously, we use it in our meetings, and it certainly helps us allow the meetings to happen in an orderly fashion. And then, on the blasting side, I'll be looking for your guys' input pretty soon. We're trekking along, obviously with different alternatives and trying to get some change, and those things will happen soon. And you guys will be a big part of setting that narrative and educating and continuing to get the word out. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Steve.
Move to adoption of minutes, April 28th, 2025. You should have them in your packet.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to approve?
Yeah.
Second.
And second. Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Second. 4. Old business, if it's okay, can we move to item D, 6D, until we give time for, Francesca to come?
That was.
Edwin,
Sure.
is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay, it's your game.
Well, good evening. Today I bring to you the updated monthly blasting report. If you see, there's like 3-4 different packets. One of them is for every year, and then one of them has all all the years, just for you guys to look at. I thought it was important to separate it, only because if you look at the last page of every packet, should be the last page, or the last page of the report, where the report ends and the calendar starts, there's a PPV comparison table. It looks like this. It's a PPV comparison table. And I thought that was the most important one to highlight in this meeting, because even though we don't know really the exact like tons that they're using, or if the PPV is actually correct, or if the blast actually happened at that time, all those like issues are a little bit like up to them to let us know. So I'm not going to really dig in too much into that. What I did notice is that the PPV for every year, the average PPV for the blast that we did not have any complaints about was about like between 7 to 10 PPVs below. In every year, like in 2025, you see 0.16 on the left-hand side. That is the 0.16 where blast without claims. I mean, there was blast with no claims, 90 blast. And then it was recorded at the average of 0.16 PPVs versus the blast that did have claims that reported at 0.23 at an average. So even though we cannot say, oh, hey, the PPV is a great indicator or not, we can say that the PPVs at a lower amount are actually not triggering the people's claims. So if for any reason somebody says, hey, why? So if anybody ever says, hey, why is it that you guys are recommending a decrease of 0.1 or 0.10? Well, it could be because of this. It could be because we're not complaining when it's 10 below. The average is 10 below. So whatever the PPV is, maybe we could recommend for it to be less. That this is just like their proof, like this is probably what they're looking at, because this is all the mining companies are submitting their data to this website, to the state. So whatever it is they're submitting, it could be right, it could be wrong, we really don't know. But we do know that their data they're submitting, they're also looking at it. So they're gonna question whatever we say. So in my head, I'm thinking that there is valid data in here that will let us know that some PPVs are impacting us and some PPVs aren't. So in the next report, what I'll want to do is I would like to zone into the blasts that are not having any claims, like no claims whatsoever, and identify what is it in there that they're giving us that we can use. Like the only thing that I can think of is like amount of detonation, like the pounds of detonation they have. But even then, it's not really like a point of reference where we can like fight over. But we can say that there are complaints that we have, and there are some blasts that don't have complaints. I would like to focus on the blasts that don't have complaints. And I think there are some in the 2025 version, you do see SDI and Florida Rock that their blasts had no complaints whatsoever so far in 2025. So that to me, that's like a humongous, that's something that I have to review, because it's almost impossible that every year, every mining company, White Rock, Titan, SDI, Florida Rock, Cemex, they all have allocated complaints to their blasting. But for some reason in 2025, SDI and Florida Rock don't. I don't know who they are or like how they're doing or anything, but I thought that's pretty impressive. I'm gonna go ahead and like review those numbers more. But I think that that's something that they're giving to us, and we have to capitalize on that. The other thing that I saw is that if we look at the most recent one, the main one, the first one that I sent you, on the second page, or any of them really, on the second page.
Is this one?
Yeah. It'll be an average, yeah, it'll be on that one. On the second page, there's this graph. And this is the most important graph I think that you can see. This graph right here tells you what is the first time that the person made a claim. So last week, we had a lady that came in that was saying that she was submitting claims in 1990, right, since the beginning. And I do see one here from 1923. So somebody in the last 3 years has been complaining into the website, and that same address has been recorded since 1923. So there's people out there that are really feeling this for a long time, and they're still doing their part. Well, how do I use this? I use this by year. In 2025, there was only 88 new addresses being placed as complaints. That means that there's less new complaints every year. So they can use that against us too. They can go into the state and be like, we have less complaints, we have less new addresses, the claims are going down, the blasts are going up, our PPV is in line. So all those indicators are only telling us that they're doing a great job. So to me, that's what I see. I see that they're doing a great job. Their PPV is, they're trying to see how much they can push the complaints and their blasts as much as possible. And they're being really good at it. The only thing that I don't see is our complaints going up. So that's what indicates to me that the problem's getting better. I don't know if anybody else has anything to say about that, but in Miami Lakes, for example, if you go into Miami Lakes,
We have that one.
Yeah.
Design is not the one that I have. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. and maybe there's a lot of copies, but I wanted you guys to see it firsthand.
This one has one claim, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Really?
one new address, which means like that house didn't place a claim at all ever until this year.
That's probably me.
And they're very fidgety with their numbers because like if you pay attention to the report I submitted last week or last month, the distinct addresses was a little higher. And now it's a little less because when I looked at the column, they put like USA at the end or they don't put USA at the end. So there's little things in there that they also put that I have to look over. So this is like more along the lines of like, this is the data being looked at basically the way it comes. I have to put more time to look at the data, like try to break it down and see like what issues they're having. Another thing I noticed over the last month was that their time, I updated the time. If you see the time, it's a little different. There's more hours here. Only because the same thing, whenever they put in their time of complaints or time of explosions, they add like zeros at the end, and those zeros throw off systems because that's to recalculate. So I've been like updating it little by little as I can, but I think this chart here tells you the bigger story of our new claims being placed. So far this year, there's only been 88 new addresses being placed as complaints. So in the future, like I would hope that at the end of the year, this number grows, at least for Miami Lakes, because we're only at one.
Question, is PSN considered under Hialeah on this chart?
Yes, a good question. I don't know. I would have to segregate PSN addresses because I go by the city. No, I go by the city that they tell me. The state is looking at the grid coordinate of the complaint, and based on that grid coordinate, they're assigning a city.
Got it.
So you'll see Miami Lakes in different places. So it's, but if you look at the points in the map, that helps you to better understand where that page is talking about.
Yeah, you see a lot of this country.
To give you some lucidity of what you're looking at. Based on my research and interactions in the past. One, first of all, I want to correct you, and I actually sent you a message on because I saw you created an Instagram page on this. This isn't a claim. This is a complaint.
Yeah, I put it a claim because it's not really a claim to go to your insurance company, which actually I heard you can. Like I was looking online and I heard people that they were fighting with their insurance companies to get their house fixed.
Right.
So like, I mean, it could be like it's a claim of an impact. I guess that's why
This is not a claim by any means. This is a complaint.
no, it's not an insurance claim.
Right.
Okay.
By definition, you write claim.
Yeah, American consider.
And you even put it on your Instagram page about a lawsuit.
Mm.
Absolutely not.
No, it's something there of a lawsuit, but
Look on your Instagram page, you did that.
Miguel, when he does an Instagram page, does he reference the blasting committee? Because he should not. I don't do
No.
Instagram.
no.
No,
Alright,
it's
thank
his
you.
own
I'm only
doing,
asking you.
it's his own doing, but the verbiage in it, the vocabulary is incorrect. And it's very misleading, very significant to what we're doing.
That's a good observation because in my head, I don't think that I should be introducing anything to Miami Lakes blasting committee unless it's approved by you guys.
Correct.
Yeah, that's why I think like if if there's gonna be a report, I think it's better for you guys to choose what metric to review from their data.
Right,
And from there, I just create one report just with that.
well, that's what we're getting at. So the first thing is that by definition of claim is completely wrong. So please void that and correct it, because it's beyond significant.
What can I use? Like, what can I use?
It's a complaint.
Complaint.
A claim is a financial demand. We put it that way. So you can claim against the insurance, you can claim this and that.
Okay.
So that being said, the next thing is the years in which you're reporting. The reason is because that's when the pilot program was created. And it facilitated people filing complaints to the state. That's why these numbers, shot up. That's where this comes from. What's happening is they're drawing out and tiring out the public. So everybody, not everybody, many people I've spoken to, so I filed a complaint, nothing happened. Thank you so much that you filed one complaint, nothing happened. This is it. This shows those results. So that's where the numbers, they fade out. I agree with you 180% that we need to do something to get these numbers back up. Because looking at this, it shows that the issue is going away, and obviously we wouldn't be here if it gone away. The next thing is the complaints. I found that once it gets below the threshold of 0.15 ppb, the complaints dwindle. So that it seems like that's the tolerable level of a blast.
It's super low compared to their other ones though. 0.1, 0.16, 0.15. That's like in their, that's not their average. That's like way below them.
That's the average in which the complaints die off.
Oh, in the complaints, yeah.
And that's why Rep Fabricio had put in what he's trying to get to bring it down to 0.15, because that's when the only matrix we have is when the complaints die off. That's at the 0.15 mark. There are companies that are working that don't even detonate the seismograph. The levels are so low, it doesn't fire, it doesn't engage the equipment. Obviously, ideally, that would be an ideal situation, but they're doing something, who knows what in their operations, and they also blast at a minimum amount, like once a month, or once every 2 weeks, let's say, not 3 or 4 times in a day. That White Rock and CMEX are doing. So that's another operation that they're having. So just to shed some light on it, I think this is fantastic, and I think it's very awakening in the complaints place. But having a diminishing number like this is detrimental to what we're doing. So I think we need to really
Revamp your work.
revamp our structure and get people complaining again. Because the issue hasn't gone away.
I think people are just not complaining because they think that it's okay. Like, I think they're like, it's probably not as bad as it was before.
No, that's what their interpretation is gonna be. But I'm getting it all the time. I mean, if you go.
I feel it.
I feel it.
I feel all the time.
I'm telling you, okay.
It's worse than ever.
It hasn't stopped.
No.
Okay, you want?
It's worse than ever, the blast.
It is.
But people are fed up, and they always look at a new outlet, and the pilot program was the latest outlet. But if they don't see a movement, the people are discouraged immediately, because people want, immediate action like that. I've had numerous times. I filed a complaint, nothing happened. You think one complaint that you did is gonna change the world?
It's more like for your kids. Like, I think our efforts is more like for our kids to benefit.
So that is that. The next thing is I've gotten people not filing complaints because they don't want to bring attention to their property. They have done things without permits, and that's a big one. So
That's 90% of PSM.
yes, I didn't mention location, but yes,
I'm probably half of the other.
If you were scared,
and Miami Lakes.
Yes.
Yes. And That's.
We
the
get
big-
that. We get that comment a lot in the PSN Civic Association meetings. Like I've heard it from residents who say, I don't want any attention to my property, therefore I rather not complain. Whether it's justifiable, whether it's makes sense or not, you know, everyone's entitled to their own opinions.
That's right.
But the end result is no complaints filed.
Right.
Right. Or
So,
worse, or worse,
Okay,
or
so
worse,
then,
which I'm gonna show you now.
so how
or
do
worse.
how do we create a solution if we have to compartmentalize and break it down?
Yeah.
What structure can we come up with to start putting pressure, it's pressure, right? Out of sight, out of mind. What can we do as a group to start getting people to place complaints again?
We're gonna touch your
Yeah.
question
Yeah.
when we go
In the
over the
next-
marketing.
Okay.
piece.
We have another presentation.
Got it.
Once we finish here, then we're going
Well,
to.
don't call it a presentation, call it a conversation.
Okay, our
Everybody, you guys want to get this.
Also, welcome.
One last thing, I forgot to mention,
Yeah.
the packet,
Here's a worse problem than one of what we're talking about.
He's not done yet.
How many? oh, yeah.
You're not
sorry, this is one thing that I probably like the most.
Okay.
It's this calendar. At the end of every year, there's a calendar.
It's the route.
In red, there's a number of blasts that occurred in that city. And that's from their data. So if you can specifically see the dates that there were 2 blasts or 1 blast. And I think in my head, when I see this, I look at the recycling or trash calendar that we have. Like, if I know what time or what day the blast is gonna happen, I just won't be home.
Right.
If I know the day and time that the trash is gonna come, I'm not gonna be outside cutting my grass next to the trash bin. You know, it's just like that's the way I see this. I don't know if that can happen, because they're like a month behind when they report the blast. And I think they do that strategically so we don't fidget with these numbers. Because there's nobody calling people or nobody putting dates or false information in there. I understand that. But I think if I ever have something like this, a calendar that tells me the time, I will just go do my groceries at that time or something, and then I will never feel it. But that's a different thing. That's a complaint thing. There'll be less complaints if that happens.
I wanna make sure I'm understanding what you're going over correctly. So you're saying that this is the number of complaints that happens on.
No, the
those
number of
given days.
blasts, the number of blasts
The number of blasts that
Blasts.
happen on those given days.
on
but
that city.
Not comparing it to the number of claims.
No, 0. That is literally just like if someone were to get this calendar
Okay,
and they could be, oh, okay, hey, I know what calendar is gonna happen.
Right.
The other thing you could do that I did for the presentation we did at the workshop in Tallahassee. You can look at the amount of blasts. Individual companies, there's 5 companies, first of all. So individual companies, how many blasts each one has done, and the level at which they blast at. And you will find that a majority of the blasts are below, in fact, 0.15. Some companies are way below 0.15, and that's all they blast at, which is fantastic. And the 2 culprits, White Rock and CMEX, 50% of their blasting is below 0.15, which is kind of interesting. It's the balance of blasts they have, and the few, because it's not a majority, it's a gross minority, blasts that they have that are astronomical. That obviously those are destructive things that we can't tolerate. But the goal, I think, 0.15, I think, is a fair number, and it comes from that.
Yeah, there's 4.17 here that I have, so 0.15 is right about there.
Is below that, right? Now, to your point. Joe will get to that with Francesca, but. I was part of the first committee that, the first blasting committee, blasting advisory board. When it sunsetted, I created my own group. Through that group. We had an attorney, sponsor our own study. Because exactly what you're saying, what evidence do we have? We just have complaints. And no study has been done, and it's intentionally avoided the study, because you don't wanna know this.
Yeah.
So we have the information. We have been and we are currently monitoring every blast, similar to the pilot program. So our results parallel the pilot program results. completely independent. It's done through universities. Several universities are involved in this. And further, it's what does the energy that is generated, the energy wave, what does it do? And that's hard science, physical science of construction, seismic energy, in geotechnical engineering, and we have all that. And that's what's needed to show this can't be tolerated, and here's why. So in the past, I know you guys weren't privileged to that, to my presentations. I've actually presented findings of ours and information that they've submitted to me, including video. I have one guy that he submitted the security camera for his front door, and the tile blasts, and you can see the tile popping in order.
Video that we showed in the.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that, that's great.
I mean, it's incredible. So there's a lot of evidence that we have that exists. And even more that I can't present because of, it's client attorney privilege stuff. But it all exists and we have.
And are the number compatible? The numbers from the pilot program and are they?
So what we're finding is the accuracy of our information, and understandably, it's less accurate than the pilot program. They run parallel, but it's consistently less accurate. And it's because the equipment that they have, or that the state has, obviously is, in my opinion, much advanced than what we use. But we have small devices in an array around the mine and throughout the county. So we're currently monitoring. What it serves well is to compare the blast existed and compared to the state
report.
the state report, which the state report was to compare the miners report. So now we have a system of checks and balances. The issue is then that the miners are getting away with is that the state law and the county law is based on a boundary, and that boundary is the UDB boundary, the urban development boundary, which is basically Chrome Avenue. And the state law exists that it mandates within the UDB boundary. Well, guess what? All the mines are outside the UDB boundary. The energy wave isn't stopping, but the mine is outside, so they don't have to comply with the state law. And that's where we're at. That's what's happening.
And that's where we're probably getting. I don't know if you saw those big blasts the last week or two. Have you saw those humongous blasts we've been talking about? Well, I reported those very well. And I sent it to Tallahassee with my complaint. To Jessica Hall and everybody else, and they responded back. And then they give you the same BS or the same thing. In response to your complaint, Mr. Blanco, regarding the blast submitted via the Mining Activities Clearinghouse, the Bureau has conducted a follow-up review with the following results. Based on Florida statute, chapter 552, and the Florida Administrative Code 690-69A 2.024, all activity noted within the specific date, and there was those big blasts, and time of this complaint, they were all within the limits of the current adopted rules and regulations. So something's up. Somebody's saying one thing, somebody's not saying something else. There's a huge discrepancy because I don't see how they can even think that the blasts were normal. It can't be. It was 5 blasts in one day. It was Monday, last Monday, it was Monday the 16th.
16th, yeah.
And I reported every single one of them. 3 were small and 2 were like humongous. And this is what they come up with in the state. Something's wrong, something's not right. So we either have to investigate it, we have to go back into it, see what the CFO's office is. We don't even have a CFO yet. That's another issue.
Well, the reality is what they're claiming,
And it might be what you're saying.
the only official report that has to comply with this is the miner's report. So if the miner reports arbitrary numbers, for argument's sake, not saying that they do, but for argument's sake, they put whatever they want, that's the official report, and the state has to comply with that. That's it, and case closed, which that is what the response is coming from.
That's the response.
So with regards to this, if the public, that they get the same answer, the cookie cutter answer, why should I say anything?
Exactly.
Nothing's happening. And that's what's going on with this.
So if we can't prevent, if it's hard for us to communicate to the residents that they should put a claim, how are we preventing
Complaint.
or complaint, sorry, complaint. Apologies, I'll make sure I write complaint. How are you projecting new complaints not to have occur? Like how are we preventing new complaints not to occur? In that sense, I'm saying, like when I purchased a home, it was. Nobody told me I was gonna be forced to possibly, go through 1900 blasts into the house. So how do we help new comers to Miami Lakes to see that?
That should have been disclosed to you.
No, it is disclosed that there is a mining and there's things, but it isn't disclosed that there's gonna be an impact to your house 1900 times. That part
That's
is not
ignored.
disclosed.
That's intentionally ignored.
Yeah, it's just like,
It's ignored, but that side of the issue, we won't fix, because that's not this board. This board won't fix that. That's a communication issue within the real estate industry, and that our place here is not that to disclose.
not to the real estate. I'm not trying to go off the real estate. I'm trying
You said when you purchased your home. it
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
disclosed.
like if I purchase a home and I want to look at the folio information on this website as to when the developer came to get developed. In that video, he presents himself with the traffic study, he presents himself with zoning information. And in that video, there is no communication saying, we have reports that there are blasts, 1900 blasts in the last 3 years to the people that are gonna move there. Like in that video, when you present yourself, lawyers and with your study, there is no communication on the blast. And at least at that point in my head, that should be there, not in the real estate, not in the closing
You're saying
statements,
didn't
in the
talk
city.
about-
Because when I wanna, like, I saw a video the other day, somebody wanted to build a house in Miami Lakes, right? Their personal house, and it was a big issue, like about coding and zoning and a lot of. But in my head, let's say there's another lot somewhere else that's a developer doing something, not a personal. That developer, when they present themselves to the city, in my head, they should say, yes, we know that there's blasts. We can't guarantee everything that all the structure is gonna be built up to code for that blast, because there's a lot of blasts. But we wanna let everybody know that that's something that's being reviewed. Something simple, communication from them, letting them on video, especially on video, know that, hey, this is not something that we're hiding. Yeah,
The county has a regulation, for a sale from a developer only. The developer has to declare that you're in a blast zone. And that's an ordinance.
right, but I'm saying in video, like they talk a lot about.
Ask, because.
Yeah.
When you first started about your home ownership journey, and
Yeah.
then now we're talking about something else.
Yeah,
What's
well,
your ask?
whenever-
For the town to do that? For the county to do that?
No, and this is only the town, right? This is not the county. So in my head, it's like when they present themselves to meet that development, at that point, that should be disclosed in open discussion.
Who
Like
should present?
the developer should show that in the area that they're gonna blast, that there is within the area. And I think that should be commented like in the video when they're talking, because since it's not commented,
That would-
it's being ignored completely by people.
The,
Got one?
I'm good.
So Bannon
No.
saying he's eating.
all right, but I think you're mingling a few points.
Okay.
Does the video you're talking about is to the public, or the video is when a developer is presenting to the council to develop a product?
council.
All right, then it's irrelevant there, because the developer it's on his, it's his liability. That he's gonna build on a blast affected area. And at the county level, it is the county requirement that the developer advise his first purchaser. It is not a county regulation that a private sale, once you own it and you go to the next.
No, not that one. I'm saying, I'm still talking about.
Right, from a
Not the
developer,
private sale.
it's a requirement, it's in the closing documents.
As far as like, if I were to go to the developer,
And you have a title company right here, so.
Right, but I mean, I've seen a lot of
Two
videos.
realtors here, and two realtors in here.
Right, but I've seen a lot of videos when they go and present themselves in Hialeah and here, and no one ever mentions blasting.
No, you don't want to.
Right, but that's what I'm saying, shouldn't that be the time to show the public that we are working towards blasting?
No,
No.
it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
Okay.
If the end user is the one's gonna be affected, not the developer. And if you advise early on, the end user is gonna shy away. So the developer's not, is gonna avoid saying anything.
They're gonna shy away because people are scared, like people don't wanna coexist with the blasting. I think like you should be able to be all free with, that's coexisting.
You should.
If we're not coexisting.
Right. Agreed.
We agree, but you know, we gotta figure out how to get
But it's
there.
not coming from us. We're here.
Yeah, we gotta figure it out. That's
So-
the challenge.
When each one of us, at least starting from when I was involved in the board, we always had an opportunity to like meet with the chair and kind of gain the background information of how things like came to be. So that when you actually started getting involved with the committee, it kind of like you already had that little bit of background knowledge, right? So you see how they communicated to you that the program started in 2023, right? So when you're reviewing the data, your perception is led to assume certain facts because you don't know. There's a gap in a specific narrative, right? I think it's important because this data is so valuable and what we're trying to accomplish. I think it's really important for you to gain that background knowledge. So that way we can effectively run these reports. Because as a consumer, I'm talking right now as a resident, if I see this, I say, oh, they must have been doing a lot of promotion in 2023 because 1,432 new residents started complaining. But in 2024, maybe they didn't do that much because only 324 people complained. And in the 6 months so far in 2025, we only have 88 complaints. So we're on track to produce half the number of complaints we produced on the year before, right? When instead we should be utilizing this data to encourage more residents to complain, to help the people who go in front of the lobbyists, the legislators, the CFO and Tallahassee and all of that, right? Like this is so great. We've never had something like this, but we need to use it in a way that it helps promote a larger buy-in in our community, right?
Okay.
So like if I could replicate all of this and put it into marketing material, like this excites me because it's my favorite part of what we do here. But I really think there needs to be like a meeting of the minds so that we could utilize your gifts in a productive way to increase that awareness, right? Because we can say, we think elected officials should say publicly in a video that blasting is happening in our community. In reality, that's not effective. What the elected official should say is, hey, listen, if you're affected by blasting, go on this link. Help us by reporting. Look, in 2023, so many new people helped us that we accomplished XYZ, right? In 2025, we want more people to report so we can accomplish our new goals for the year. So data is important and it's big on perception. If you don't have the full picture, there's a lot of assumptions that come in to fill the narrative. And as the person who focuses on the communication of the board, this is very dangerous. It can be utilized as an amazing resource to engage and promote, just like it can be utilized to illustrate a deficiency of the productivity of our board. You get what I'm saying? So we just have to, I feel like it should be on its own, almost like a subcommittee so that we could prepare better, then we extract it, and then we utilize the information to improve what I want to propose we do for marketing. So it's almost like if we perfect this could be a huge ammunition for our engagement campaign later, right?
The other thing, what you get, and piggyback on what you're saying, using distinct addresses, it's the same people. And that tells me that you're only taking one claim for that address. and ignoring the other claims.
No, it's all included. It's all the complaints are there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's just, does that
This
square is
specific
just
route.
distinct, just that.
Mhm.
But the distinct address, I think, is dangerous because of that.
Yeah, it can only help us in reality, because if you put your address incorrectly, it will only show up as a new address.
Right, no,
It-
I'm
it-
talking about in the distinct address, this one person, like I know somebody that puts a complaint in daily. And it's the same address, so she'll have 1,300 complaints, but if you go by distinct address, it's one. You know, so what numbers do we use? And that's why I think is we need to be careful or cautious on the distinct address part. The other thing is, as I mentioned, people are afraid to raise awareness to their own property for whatever reason.
I really don't know.
That should be included in our campaign.
How do
We're
we,
gonna touch on that.
how do we make it more appealing for them? I guess that's what.
Oh, the data?
No, how do we make it more appealing to complain?
People complain.
Yeah.
To the consumer. So
Yeah.
to the consumer, I guess, are we done with
Yeah,
your
I'm
part?
done, I'm
Because
I
I don't
was
want,
gonna say, for
Okay.
purpose of timing, then we move into Blakely.
right.
We'll go from there.
So during our last meeting, we discussed raising awareness. This has been an ongoing topic in our last few meetings. So at the end of our last meeting, I sent an email requesting that the marketing department kind of like take a look at what we discussed and see how they can be of assistance to us in building an awareness campaign, utilizing the Miami Lakes Connect app to promote people filing complaints. They produced this reel. I'll stop talking in a second so you guys can watch it. They produced this reel, they posted on social media, and they redirected people to go on the clearinghouse link to file, I'm sorry, not on the clearinghouse link. They engaged for people to download the Miami Lakes Connect app and file complaints on the Connect app. That is a great way to engage with the audience of Miami Lakes residents. A PSN resident is not gonna see that reel and automatically assume that they can utilize it because we don't live in Miami Lakes, right? So we have to tailor our message based on our specific audiences. So I'll let you play it again so that they can actually focus on it and read it. So the ability to start a complaint was already on the app. It's just nobody knew about it. So the marketing department went ahead and did that for us.
Nice.
During our last meeting, we mentioned let's put together ideas for an engagement campaign and all of that to increase awareness, right? Your data, if it has shown us anything, it's shown us that, right? That awareness is not, people are not engaged as much as they should be filing more complaints, right? So I was thinking that we can come together and we can do a multifaceted campaign to promote only and exclusively the filing of complaints. I don't wanna talk about levels. I don't wanna talk about who does it right, who does it wrong. I don't wanna talk about any mining company. I just wanna talk about you are a resident. If you are affected by blasting, click on this link and file a complaint. If you're from Miami Lakes, we will almost aid in the current Miami Lakes Connect campaign because they want people to use the app anyway. And filing a complaint is just one of the components of utilizing the app. Now, if you're outside of the Miami Lakes people, then we need to kind of like touch on the subject
link.
separately. Using the clearinghouse link. At the end of the day, you all meet to the same place and we will eventually get more complaints to better aid us in this situation. There needs to be some type of metric of when the campaign starts versus like pre-campaign versus post-campaign, because this number is not very flattering, the 88 complaints in all of 2025. So eventually,
Yeah,
once
probably
we
open like
update
that.
this, we need to be able to have a delineation,
Date.
right, of when it started. Then the campaign would have several facets. So obviously social media, because it's free, being one of them. But on social media, it's very important that we consolidate to one place. So prior to you joining the committee, we had made the decision that one person would take it on their personal side, because that's something we do on our personal level. Okay, we manage the Instagram page, but we only share information that has been vetted by the board to ensure that the information is clear, consistent, and that we're portraying the right message to the public. Because even though we're doing it as residents, we're not doing it as members of this committee. We want to make sure we're educating correctly and transferring that information, right? So I know that you started this new Instagram page, which is totally fine. You can do whatever you want in your personal life. Just make sure that the information is extracted from what we have already to ensure that the message is consistent, you know? So obviously there would be a social media component to the campaign. In the past, we've talked about meeting with several HOAs and conducting awareness within HOAs. This was initiated at a point in time when the committee decreased in size substantially. And because the committee was so small at the time, it was not executed. Now that we have more members and we can reach a larger platform, I think we should reevaluate that. And we should start promoting the message in HOA meetings, as well as we've always done with the PSN Civic Association and so on. When we reach out to the HOA communities, we can do it and offer an electronic version through like QR code or a presentation that will be updated because the old one is too outdated. But we can also produce flyers that incorporate data like this to engage people in eventually creating the complaint, right? So I know that in the past, we've promoted a lot. We've promoted join the BAB. This is what the BAB does. This is what we've accomplished. Get involved. Let's just boil it all down to the simple file a complaint. And if we can get more people to buy into filing a complaint, everything else will eventually fall into place. At least that's my personal opinion. And that's my recommendation.
Just to let you know, to the chair, Stephen, Brian, and I have visited HOAs and we
Okay.
have spread the news.
Okay.
So it's not a new concept. It's been done before, just not with the whole blasting group.
It's a focus. of-
Right, and I have also homeowner associations.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I know that in the past, this has been done, right? Through one way or another, through council members, through members of this committee. Like we've gone to the PSN Civic Association meetings numerous times. You know, so these are all things that we've done. My objective right now is basically saying, let's do it in a way that we can hold us all accountable. Because that number, that 88, it needs to increase back to a set goal that we say. Every month it needs to go up by 20 people. I don't know, I just made this up, right? A number that we all feel is attainable, challenging, but it can be consistent. Because if we continue on this trend, by the time we reach the end of the year, the number will be 0, and in 2026, we will have 0. Not because we're not doing anything here, but because if we don't have the buy-in of the community to report, what do we?
Something worth mentioning, just again, to give benefit for you guys to be aware of. Actually, if Francesca, you weren't here then. The Miami-Dade pilot program, if you look at their budget, in their budget, there's nothing for marketing. There's nothing to get the word out. So of the complaint set of that entire website, it's our doing. It's what we have done to get the word out. Because the state has done 0, and they're doing that intentionally. They do not want to have any attention brought to that website. Even if you go to the financial aid, the financial officer's page, you won't find a link to this page. It's crazy. It's done intentionally.
I like our link. I think our link, Miami League's link is better than theirs.
No, it's perfect.
Because if they want to change their link, we just put it in Miami League's.
It's
It's the same
perfect.
thing. Nothing changes.
But this is what we're up against though. Now, the state has allocated $3 million of our tax dollars for this program. And you've done nothing to promote it, to move it, to encourage people to do it. Another issue, but you know,
That we are not going to.
we're not gonna get into,
Wow.
we're not gonna get into that at the moment.
Follow the money.
Yeah. So, I think, you know, I'm mentioning this again for your advantage to understand why these numbers are the way they are. The other thing is, when things started, it was during, when COVID hit, people were home. So that's the other thing that,
How many people have gone back to work?
right, yeah.
So they don't feel.
That's
it.
the first thing that.
That's
comes to mind
of course,
during the
no,
COVID,
and that's
the
very
time that
legit,
everybody
no,
was
that's
home too, you know?
Many people aren't at
Not
work anymore.
I didn't think of that.
But I always tell everybody, if you felt it, so did your house. It's that simple. And if your house felt it, how did your house react? Because that can, invite me to your house, I'll show you how your house is reacting.
And you're having
People
a
don't like
big
that
house, so.
You're gonna say something?
I had a pretty.
No,
No, I'm not.
Sorry.
Next item,
Oh, no.
open air.
So
Okay,
I
okay.
mentioned
Discussion.
all the, I mentioned, I see that we wanna move on, so before we wrap up, I mentioned all the components of what could be done to increase awareness. How could we all participate unanimously to produce that, obviously, and. Yeah, do that.
I think we should get, commitments from each of us. Who are you gonna speak to?
I thought you were gonna do a subcommittee, because that was a good idea.
Oh,
So we can do a subcommittee meeting that encompasses the data analysis
Right.
and it's supplemented by marketing. But we cannot have a subcommittee meeting that's in charge of marketing
Oh,
exclusively.
No, I got
The promotion of the message itself is still something that we need
Right.
to do as a team in general. So I like your idea of like everybody kind of owning their little piece.
so it's a commitment.
So for example, do you have anything that we can distribute now? If I go to an HOA meeting tomorrow, is there something I can distribute?
Absolutely, there's materials on the
It's
website
online,
that can be utilized.
Yeah, but it's gotta be printed.
Right, but we just gotta ask out to print it. It's there. Now, am I gonna make an improved version of it once I have data? Absolutely, that is
So
coming.
then I think we just have to wait until that product comes out. So we know what we can use.
No, not necessarily.
Okay, well, Isle, if you have something, I can pick up a stack of 25. Sure, because I have an HOA meeting I'm going to.
It's matters.
I speak about it all the time, but now I can give them paper.
Right.
Can we give the paper?
And I'm
to-
gonna tell you what a lot of people are gonna say, they're not filing. They're not filing, I'm the first one who doesn't file. It's that simple, a lot of people won't file.
The complaint, you mean?
Yeah. My age.
How did you fix your house?
That's not.
Oh, that's all. What
Oh, but half is better than nothing.
This one?
Absolutely.
It has to be more than the QR code, because a lot of people are not savvy.
That's another.
What about having a? What about, can we do that? If we had a call list, let's just say that we built up a call list, for example, in PSN. We have everybody, we have most of the people's cell phone numbers, we built a relationship with these people, and we have somebody assigned to be paying attention to the blast. Every time a blast comes, send out a message, hey, did you feel the blast that just happened right now? If you did, here's the link, like, be texting them, be like,
Right.
hey, file a complaint, if you- not, hey, there was a blast, I need you to file a complaint.
At least the email. I know the Civic Association's done it for me. The email.
Yeah, like, we can do something that would be.
It won't be at each class, but
Pero coño, at least, cause maybe you're at work and maybe you didn't feel it. And what about if the guy's like, oh, you know what, there was a blast, I think, I'm in PSN, I'm gonna follow a
I
complaint,
think that's a great idea.
you know?
And I think that helps, the connect thing helps it's very
That makes it
handy,
super easy.
it's very easy.
The other
That's
question,
for my
last question I
relation,
have
not
for
is
relation.
sponsorships. Not like how I do events and I bring in my sponsors to do stuff. If we were to get a sponsor, give you an idea, like a roofing company that wants to get his name out to the community and he would like to help people that have been, their roofs have been damaged because of the blasting. And because he's involved with the border, he's helping the town of Miami Lakes, or he's not a part of the advisory board, but he wants to donate money to our board so that money can be used to do community outreach for the blasting. Can we do something?
Yeah, we can take contributions, commercial contributions, correct?
So yes, we are allowed to get sponsorships. All sponsorships have to be vetted by the town per committee rules and sponsorship ordinance. Given that you guys are, I feel like kind of a complicated committee in terms of what you guys deal with. We definitely need staff input and, make sure that gets cleared.
But it's a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, all other committees do it, I guess you would just have to kind of give me an idea of what this sponsorship would entail. And where exactly we would be.
We do
honoring
events.
them as sponsors.
It has to be associated to an event. The other committees that have done it in coordination with an event. So I would imagine that we'd have to say, you know, we're throwing XYZ event. Then we recruit sponsors and then the community would come out to
Right.
this given
It
event.
wouldn't be general, that's on every flyer that we do, because then I don't think that's proper. But to an event, yeah, I would agree to that.
Mhm.
Just thinking, just throwing some ideas out there.
No, that's what we need, keep it coming.
All right.
The other thing is get the liquor out.
So,
and ad or something.
Jessica, why can't we have an awareness campaign in the farmer's market and get a sponsorship to sponsor the?
Yeah.
That's
That's what
the,
that's what I'm talking about, like,
Yeah.
somebody, somebody costs, bring food
We've done
trucks,
events at
like,
the farmer's
you wanna
market.
do things at the same time, you know how people are, man, people aren't
Right.
interesados, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, like, unfortunate as the society we live in, so. You gotta.
They want croquetas.
You want croquetas, you
Yeah.
wanna come have a food truck, you wanna do something where you can bring your kid and it's not like you're taking time out of your day and then you can kill two birds with one stone, it's like. I'm gonna bring you out so you can have a good time with your family, but at the same time, you're
Let
gonna
me ask
pay
you
attention
guys-
to what I have to say.
PSN has started they got.
Every Friday,
food truck.
hey, I was already
They
gonna
just
bring it
started
up.
last
We
Friday.
need,
Yeah.
we need,
Now it's gonna be
we
Thursday.
need to be all,
No, it's Friday.
it's every Friday now.
Um,
It used to be Wednesdays and then they moved it to.
We should be
Friday.
all over that event.
why not have a tent? I mean, I think we should have a tent there.
So I had asked the original time that they came out. I had asked the person who organizes it, like what would have to be done to have a specific spot. And they're very picky in the types of people who can have a designated tent. And they weren't allowing any businesses that weren't food related. But maybe we can approach them again.
Where is this and what?
And
It's in the PSN park, you know, where
Oh,
the
okay,
school
the
is.
Miami Lakes, it's not like that.
would they let us come in as,
No,
would they
okay.
let us, if they let us come in as the PSN Civic Association?
I mean. Maybe we'll
That might
get talk
be-
to them.
We team up.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out there, whatever
Yeah.
makes it easy,
No, I like that idea.
yeah.
I mean, look, it'll definitely cater to that component of the audience. Because we need to segregate. Miami Lakes will be targeted one way. And outside of Miami Lakes will be
Exactly.
targeted a different way. But when we come together,
Yeah.
it'll all make sense. So yeah, that's what, yeah.
I
I'll
think,
reach
I
out
think
to
that's a
that
great
vendor.
idea. And the other one, the senator is now involved in this thing. So I think we can go to his office even as well.
If you guys instruct me, I'm down to do whatever I gotta do, like,
That's not party.
I'm not afraid of
That's
it.
it,
As
right?
long as it's a
No,
party.
thank
you.
so-
Always. I'll bring my drums and everything, you guys.
Oh, wait a second now.
That's right. Alright.
Okay,
She bring me, the next agenda.
so for next agenda.
This what's got sent out.
The point is that I almost wanted to like, I want to sign.
I think, imagine we get on the list.
You was with.
You saw this?
Okay.
Yeah, the call. Francesca.
For next time.
What are we looking at? Divided by zip code, so we could get all the zip codes, like each person had what be divided by zip codes, like you take care of 33018, you take care of 33015.
I think by
Because
default, because everybody is spread out.
We're all spread out. If anything, we should take care of our home zone.
Right, at a minimum, to start with.
Very impressed.
Because the largest zone is the unincorporated area. There's 3 of us, I'm not sure what Edwin is, but I'm not including him right now, there's 3 of us in the unincorporated area.
I'll give it to Dan. He
And
likes
then
it.
there's, yeah, he'll do it all, and then there's, you know, a few
Yeah, we have
guys
it.
that all are in different areas of Miami Lakes. You know,
But it doesn't include Hialeah Gardens.
But I wanna be clear, the town specifically said that if they move forward with any action, it's gonna be for Miami Lakes.
Correct.
Okay. I just
We're
wanna
not talking
make
about
sure.
actions, though. We're talking about
Okay.
numbers of complaints.
Marketing.
if anything, the buy-in of the unincorporated area is only helping Miami Lakes prove their point.
If they don't pay taxes in Miami Lakes, your taxes are super cheap, that means they're not gonna foot the bill, the Miami Lakers are.
Okay. And are
That's just
they
my
gonna
opinion,
be,
and I won't get into it, because I know you come from PSN, you're not my.
And I still
resident.
volunteer on this board and I sit here and I gladly do what I do to help my community.
That's okay.
So are you guys gonna compensate me for my time and my energy? No,
Well,
nobody's talking about that right
Maybe
now.
you
We're
chose
talking
to
about how we
volunteer,
can build
Francesca, that
awareness.
is your choice.
Absolutely,
Okay.
because I want to help the
I'm
cause.
just saying,
not
I just
because
wanna
I
make
do or
sure
don't
that
pay a
if the
specific
town
type of
takes action,
property
it's gonna
tax.
be for Miami Lakers. That's all I wanted to bring up to the record, that's all.
Increase the complaints, not,
It's a number, it's a number.
not numbers.
Did you see that?
No, I didn't know what you were costing me
Put it vertical.
like this.
Yeah, not upside down though.
I don't know, I don't use Androids. Guidance.
But you see, he's got sponsors there.
Well, he doesn't.
He's gonna be running for mayor, that's why.
Yeah. So if we get the BAB on there,
Get the BAB on here, how? Because
the Civic Association and the BAB,
what are they gonna contribute? Money?
we get a tent, yeah, we have a tent.
Sure, there's money associated to this. I mean, we'll do the research, let's see. Absolutely, I'm all for it.
I mean, how much can it possibly be?
No, I don't
The
know.
trucks were like $70 is what
What
they,
truck?
food truck was paying about $70. $70 to $140. That's
It's
how much they
not
pay.
even, it's not even about the dollar amount, it's about. The board can't pay for it, so we would have to get a sponsor to pay for it, which is totally fine, that's something that we can work on. But first, let's do the research on
Yeah.
how we could even
I
tap
don't know,
into the.
we have
event.
money, we have a budget, and there's some budget in there for a budget.
Regardless, if the budget doesn't
Are
reach,
are they gonna allow
I
us to
can,
utilize it though?
no, but don't worry about the money. If the budget is not there to cover for it, we'll take care of it.
No, our budget has money, but we go
What's
back to the
allowed,
same
right.
thing, what's allowed.
You
I
guys
mean,
would
if
just
last
have to
time we put
request
in-
it from council, that's all you would do.
Yeah.
Oh,
Cause it would be a new
Then you gotta
expense.
move, yeah, the tent.
It's not,
Yeah, but
it's not that much, so even if it's
to
500,
ask
let's say it's
something.
500 bucks.
Miami
Right.
Lakes
That's the
is
thing,
not
I can
gonna
still
pay
get a
for us
sponsor
to
to
sponsor
do it.
something at PSM Park if that's not in Miami Lakes. You see what I'm saying? It goes
Like
to her
this
point.
committee,
We're
in
not.
fairness, this
already
committee
said that.
is aside that we're not Miami Lakers. But this committee is to affected areas. It's part of the
But all I'm trying to point out is that there's a discrepancy in what we're communicating right now.
correct,
So I get it. Miami Lakes support is for the Miami Lakes residents. It makes total sense. We are discussing an event at PSM Park. So can Miami Lakes money be utilized for an event in PSM Park?
correct.
Based on what Esther just said, I'm assuming the answer is no. But I think that that's something that the town should give us confirmation on. So that we don't pursue something that's, beating a dead horse and not.
It's something you guys should take to council.
Right. I hope is asking to reopen up public comments, if you can.
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry, we passed it back.
It's 8:04. Is there a motion to open public comments?
I'll put a motion.
Motion,
Is there a second?
second.
For the record, the public comments that are on Zoom are not to be reopened once they've already been opened. I'm just letting you guys know because this has been discussed with staff before, and I know I hadn't made it clear for you guys, so I'm gonna go up.
I never heard that one.
No, it was made
because-
clear at the other meeting.
Okay,
They say
I wasn't sure if I had.
The
been
same
saying it
way you
before.
told us about the attendance policy that are in effect, so as of. Everybody understands the new attendance policy. She's been sending stuff, so make sure you read your, I make a motion to adjourn, it's 8:05.
You guys want? Let's hope so.
What do you
Are we completed, first of all?
Yes. Because we talked
I think we need
about,
to ask everybody else, Esther.
we're on open discussion.
We're open discussion still.
Would you like to share anything else?
Anything else?
I came today with the idea just that I wanted to almost be assigned a job on the board, right? Like just, I kind of like where this went today, so I just wanted to say that. I feel like if everybody has a specific thing to do, I think we can get a lot more. Like, I still feel like I don't know where I can.
PSN Civic Association event, that's
For sure,
and
okay.
I'll handle the farmers.
Okay, so no, just wanted to say this was a good one today, because I
Okay.
feel like we got things assigned so we can get the ball moving.
To get to that position, it's not,
time.
and it evolves into it.
Got it, all right, I'm good.
This committee, and again, for you guys aware, it's different than all the other ones, period. And we have a lot of moving parts and a lot of different facets that other committees, they have a single goal, or a single task, let's say, and it's very linear. We're not like that.
Yeah, we have a lot.
This is, yes, this is huge. And one of the components of it is we're not just Miami Lakes. We have one of the facets of this, we're coming from everywhere.
No.
I'm in unincorporated Dade County. I'm
too.
north of PSN.
Oh.
So, I mean, there's a lot of moving parts. So the evolution of the committee, has to do a lot with what you're mentioning though. As somebody comes up with an idea and we all share it and we discuss it and improve it and make a better idea and make it happen.
Yeah.
Hope Reynolds, the one that texted me now, she had come up to the idea to me about having a bike ride. Because every morning she has a little exercise route that she does on her trike exercise. She goes, what about if you did a bike ride and look at witness damages, out in the street? And we did. We had Fabricio, Sarah Fabricio join us, and we rode from the park down into Satori. We circled Satori, and I gave a lesson of how this energy wave travels in what we're seeing, including water bodies and the differences and whatnot, and the effects that it does from, people looked at sidewalk that was damaged. No, that's a tree root. Look at the oak tree that's right next to it. Now look at the damage of the house that's behind it. See that the crack that's seismic damage. And it was an educational tour. But the idea came from somebody that just out in left field threw it out there, and I think it's a great idea. So coming up with stuff like that, as you're mentioning, we need to get there, and then we can assign the task. How do we divide the
I
work
think
up?
that today, like Danny's saying, is a good day where tasks can be divvied up, because there's a lot that has been discussed today. So like Danny, if you take charge of communicating with us
Well, the Civic Association and
and
then.
the PSN
and the
target us for
PSN part.
Fridays,
Yes.
right? And then Edwin has worked tirelessly on all this data,
I think
right?
this is huge.
But who's gonna partner with him to adopt it correctly so that I could utilize it for the future marketing material?
All right.
Looking at you, cause I think it should be you.
I can.
It should be my,
I'm being voluntold.
You're the most knowledgeable one.
Under the data part, okay, I'm gonna assign Edwin and there you go. Right, and we also talked about budget, whether or not the money can be utilized and what it could be utilized for and whether or not we could move it. Who wants to take it upon themselves to talk to the committee? Slash
The council.
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 Well, we
Sorry,
need
I
to
said
come up with a
committee
budget
member.
number. To see. what
Okay,
we're
I'm
actually-
gonna find, tomorrow I'm actually gonna go. My wife and I were gonna go with the kids to the food truck thing, so I'll find out, the sign is there, he's like a representative that's throwing it, right?
Like a.
Like he's running.
event planner.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so his info is there, so
Yeah.
I'll get it tomorrow, I'll reach out to him and I'll start asking around the food truck vendors that are there. How much did it cost them to be
Okay.
a part of it, so I can start getting them.
More than $1 amount, our budget has a lot of money, more than $1
We haven't
amount,
used it.
it's, can we utilize it
Right.
for this specific type of
Event.
XYZ?
Right.
Whether it be, cause we've discussed the farmer's market and then we've discussed the PSN part. So the question that needs to be proposed is, can we utilize a portion of our money for these specific types of events? Because as long as we don't exceed the amount of money that we have budgeted in total, I would imagine that it doesn't matter where it falls,
Well,
right?
you can use the money for the farmer's market, that I know for sure.
That's the one
Yeah,
they do.
that-
that's-
That's a,
That's. Yes.
Well,
right.
specifically, because I will mention, the farmers market in Miami Lakes, we have obviously a partnership with them, and they tend to, when it's committees that wanna put up a table, they just let us do it for free.
Nice.
So there is no money involved with that,
Okay.
normally, so far, from what I've seen. The reason you're going to council is because the money that has been granted to you guys was originally for your Tallahassee trips, and then recently for your marketing material, so therefore it's never been disclosed to council that that money was going towards this new app.
Right,
And once you guys get that approval, you don't have to go back unless they say it's a one-time thing, which that's normally not how it goes. But yeah, for the first time, they have to authorize.
okay.
I mean, the reality is that what we're talking about doesn't exist in Miami Lakes, so. But the farmer's market, I think, is a sweet,
Mhm.
avenue to
It's a good
explore.
idea.
Especially if they give it to us for free.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, they do. They give you
They
the
do.
tent and then you just have to bring whatever it is you're gonna bring.
Material. and
Right, we have the table already.
Just
Yeah,
something-
table.
To make you guys aware, the farmer's market, from my understanding, I think they're gonna be doing renovations in Main Street, so they are gonna be closing for some time soon. I don't know the exact date when they kind of are closing up for a while. And secondly, I will mention that, that council will normally encourage the committees to kind of collaborate on events that are already existing, maybe within another committee, and I think it kind of goes back to your point that you kind of need to bring it out where people are already there. Because it probably won't do well as a standalone informational. So if you guys wanna start talking to other committees, that's probably a good idea to get the word out there. You actually have a chair
Yeah.
right here. For
about
cultural
that, we
affairs.
get about 9,000 people, so that's a good.
You wanna read this?
Veterans Park? Oh, we go to that all the time, so. I
I mean,
guess
that's one that you can, that one.
my band almost got hired to play that one, and we weren't available. Huh? I have a band. Play at the Hard Rock all over the place, and we were gonna play two.
So to Isles Point,
Ground control.
Rudy, aren't you in,
Yeah, whatever.
do you guys have any events coming up?
Okay.
We might have,
Like resident events, not.
We have one.
we have, when, you guys have.
Kill us.
Yeah, but they don't have events like in the farmer's market. They have
Right.
events like in Charlotte to drink
Right.
and stuff like that. It's a drinking event and a networking event. The business thing.
I'm there.
But businesses are affected by blasting too, so.
That's it, yeah.
That's not discriminate.
That's my main idea.
Can we bring this meeting back?
Does anyone else have homework assignments that they've self-assigned or that they're volunteering for or?
Well, I've been voluntold, I'm gonna be working with Edwin, which is cool. And I'll take care of Esplanade, my neighborhood. And PSN, I'm on the PSN, they got a chat group between the board members, I'm in that. So I don't know if you want me to handle that or handle it together or whatever.
I don't have the end like they do, but I would call them. I mean, I met a few of them the last time I went to the last meeting, but if you wanna reach out to them and I'll take care of the thing of the park and I'll call you tomorrow.
Hey, Carol, Park, is that, yeah,
Yeah, the park thing of is
Oh, the budget conversation?
super easy.
alright.
And maybe we can look for other events that are happening in all these other affected areas, right? Like we can look for, we can look for an event, like in Hialeah Gardens, we can look for like a big, wait, they've been doing some crazy events at the new, remember the dog race, the Hialeah track?
It is amazing, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, the 80s and 70s.
That's a whole other level of.
That's
people.
tremendous.
So we can do an event there too.
I gotta leave.
That's my thing, that's what I do. I don't know about this.
Thanks, motion for
I-
clearance to my side.
Does she need a to be able to get us in front of council for the budget conversation?
Thank you, Rudy.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Take care, guys.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, there's something,
Yeah, he made a motion to adjourn. I made the second. It's 8:14.
wow. Let's have to stop.
Well, because he.
We're
said-
not
he said he
done,
had to
we're not
leave.
done discussing, and you can't take over meetings like
He
this when
said
we're
he
not.
wanted to leave, so he said.
Then he can leave, but the meeting is continuing, because we're not completed our conversation.
The chair is the one that's supposed to adjourn, and now he's adjourned. I'm just letting you know, because.
And he's supposed to, the chair's supposed to also bring in the.
You know, but now this was put in a weird spot because. the chair
Yeah,
is
so,
supposed
but there's other
Yeah, we just
avenues
have
that
to
can be
decide.
done. We were having a discussion.
You were asking for something that you need to
Yes.
have motion to do something.
I was giving her a suggestion if it's something that the board wanted to do. I was just.
We were in discussion. I wasn't even aware of this conversation side table
Oh,
that
it was in
occurred.
the side table.
We didn't hear it.
He said.
I'm sitting next to him, I didn't hear. it.
Yeah, but he said something. I don't know what he said. Something about I have to leave. I make a motion to adjourn. Maybe he has something. I don't know.
This has to stop.
That was part of the.
Shall we adjourn?
We're adjourned, we're officially adjourned.
We're there?
Right, but are you talking about the budget that we can now, because I know he has to give the budget too. But if we have
The
the
committee
budget,
as a whole is supposed to review the budget that is gonna go in front of just for clarification, it's supposed to go in front of council. The email I sent to all of you is in preparation for the new fiscal year that starts October first.
Right, but he has to submit that, and he has to remember to submit money for marketing and now to submit money
Well,
for.
that's the thing, you guys are supposed to discuss that, so you can, maybe there's another line.
Then we're
item that
gonna
we're
have to
not
put it in the next meeting. And remember, he does the agenda. And not I'll add it, but I know we have to do the marketing money and we have to do this campaign awareness money. And it's, I know it's gonna be within the 7,500, but at least if we establish the line items now, we don't have to worry about going back and asking, we need 699. This way we have the budget in place and it's done.
Agreed.
I'm gonna
But we
end the
have
meeting.